Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Minotaur build for Kicking Mustang. Now if you've seen the thumbnail, you'll see I have a bunch of parts on the bench here. Now if you didn't see the first episode, I suggest you go watch it. I'll link it up below of this Minotaur build. It's a Novrich SSR4 and apparently it was a load of rubbish, but we're going to turn it into something. We're going to take this piece of poo and we're going to roll it in so much glitter, and then we're going to inject it with super soldier serum to get this thing absolutely rocking on the airsoft field. Now for those of you that didn't watch that video or aren't going to go watch it, Novrich SSR4, we've got a Redline Gen 2 N7 Gen 2 Milsim HPA engine, and the HPA engine in this is mechanical. So what that means, there's no batteries, no electronics, nothing. You're just hooking up an air line, and every time you pull the trigger you get a puff of air out the barrel. The advantages to this, it's very simple. You only shoot semi-auto, so there's no full auto with this build. However, you could probably shoot this, you could fully submerge this thing in water and then pull it out and it would still work. You obviously wouldn't recommend doing that, but we have a ton of parts. This is only a small selection of the parts that I've got to hand. We've got also got sniper stocks and loads of big front ends, which are quite heavy, but I thought I'd grab a small selection. I also have this really dinky front end, but it's not going to give us the advantages of what we want. We want something that we can mount stuff to. This is the standard rail that comes on the SSR4. Very simplistic. It's a cheap rail. It's very soft, but it does what it's designed to do. The next thing we could try is we could go for a Mark 18 build. This would make the barrel length much longer. We do plan on suppressing this to try and reduce the crack of the air leaving the muzzle as much as possible. There's going to be some funky ways that we can do that. So we could go Mark 18. The advantages that the Mark 18 would give us is it's got all the rails on there already. So when he wants to mount his 203 launcher, which is about here somewhere because I've got it to be worked on. I'm not sure where I've put it. It's in this room somewhere. I need to have a jiggle around and find it. But he's got a tag launcher. The advantages of the Mark 18 rail is the tag launcher would slide straight on. Disadvantages are it's really long. We wanted to shorten this build because it's going to be used, you know, as a sort of sneaky beaky gun, and then have the other horn of the Minotaur sort of idea is having the boomstick on the bottom. We do have some lovely small rails here. I have the Invictus rail, which is off my MTW9. This is a brand new rail. It's very, very well machined. Kudos to Wolverine or Invictus. They've done a really good job with this rail. Plus side is it's very small, which is what we want. Obviously the only downside I can see is we would have to put sort of an M-lock rail segment on here to mount his 203 launcher. That's not the end of the world. I have discussed this with him, but this would make the front end of the rifle extremely light, which would help when mounting that. I also have a M-lock rail off my KWA QRF Mod 1. Really like these rails. It's considerably heavier than this one. I'd probably go as far to say it's probably like a 30 to 40% heavier than this one. And we could put an M-lock rail section on the bottom there, but we do have this bit on the front. I'm not sure if that would foul when putting the launcher on, but it is quite a sexy looking rail. Advantages to this over the Invictus, it has these little tabs which will stop it rotating on the body. We also have a much longer choice. We could fit this MTR 16 rail, loads of real estate here. We could even use this rail and we could chop it down. That's also a possibility. The idea that I had for this though was having the rifle integrally suppressed, so we can slide this huge suppressor in here. So we're getting the suppressor integrated. It probably would interfere with the M-lock slots on the front here, but we're getting that really long suppressor, so we're getting loads of suppression on it, but it's being hidden by the M-lock. Now that is also another idea if we wanted to go really sort of modern. We can hide these suppressors in the rail of the Wolverine rail. I have done one of these before for Airsmiths, and it was an MTW, slightly longer rail than this, and I had the barrel machined so this would go straight on, and then that was how it looked. Obviously it wasn't as long as this, it was more like that, but that's a possibility. I have a shorter version of this suppressor which we could pop in there and not have as much suppression, but we're able to hide more of it in the rail there. Or probably the most likely outcome is to have this and then mount this Mark 23 suppressor on the front there. Very Spec Ops looking. We also have a choice of stocks. Now this is the standard stock. It's just a cheap like Chinese made stock with the Novritsch branding on the butt pad. Advantages, it has a rubber butt pad. We don't have to house any batteries in the stock, so we could make it slimmer. Choices, we could go really small with something like one of these Amoeba stocks, which keeps it nice and compact when it's on the back of the rifle. I've got an MTR 16 stock, which would work if we were going with the MTR 16 rail. I have a LaRue here. This is a LaRue copy. Plus side to this is it's like a pull design, so you can pull it and it will click. When it clicks, you can slide it on and off the stock tube without having to pull anything down, and then actually you can turn this and lock it into place so it won't come off. It is quite bulky though, so I'm not too sure. So we have choices of parts. There's tons of parts. The LaRue stock is, I think, a little bit wobbly on this stock tube. The Amoeba one is quite tight. The MTR 16 stock is also quite well fitted, not much wobble on there at all. It would make it much more slimline and out the way, so that could be a possibility. We can also turn this part of the stock round so it's got more of a curve to sit in his shoulder. We've got QD sling swivel points on this one, on the LaRue and on the standard stock. But the stock is so easy to fit and take off that this part could be changed at any time. But we kind of want to commit ourselves to a direction for the front rail and the suppressor section. So I'm not going to make a decision now. I'm going to leave it up to everyone else's input. Let me know what you think. I presume James is probably going to watch this video as well, and he can decide what he wants to do. I would perhaps go with the Invictus rail with a nice long M-lock rail section on the bottom there, just because this is so incredibly light and it's going to cut the weight down quite a lot. This is going to make it heavier. The KWA one's probably going to make it heavier. Yeah, it's heavier than that one. So what we know for certain, we want to suppress it. We need rail space on the bottom. We want to make it short. So it kind of knocks out the other rails. The only, sort of plus side to something like this, now this isn't the barrel nut for it, so bear with me. You would have to modify it to fit the receiver, is we can hide that suppressor in there. So, but it kind of, again, defeats the point of making the rifle shorter. We do have a fourth option for suppressor, so we can go Mark 23, we can go one of these muzzle brake designs. These are the long ones, and then this one is a long one that's been shortened. Or we can go to the next level again, and we can make him a custom carbon fiber suppressor. Plus sides to this, it's very light. Downsides, once it's built and packed in, it can't really be taken apart without breaking the bond, and then it would have to be resubmitted on the adhesive. It would look very cool, but James, being the sneaky person that he is, as nice it would be, and it would benefit from putting the effort into making something like this to make it something special. We don't want something shiny and gleaming, especially when he's in his ghillie suit. So yes, you can get matte carbon, but I think as nice as it would be, I think I'm leaning towards a Mark 23 for a bit more of a fatter suppressor. The baffles in here are a little bit worn out at the end, perhaps where he's had a bit of clipping. You can see in there the holes are kind of elongated. Actually looks like something's oh no, it's actually quite clear. So we can do some new baffles for that. These are actually quite loose in there, so we can do better with that. We can make some custom foam baffles, keep the fart flap on there to really reduce the noise, and we can have this super sneaky. I like how wide and fat the Mark 23 suppressors are. This is a brand new one here. I'll show you what the foam should look like. So you'll see it's not wobbling there at all, it's quite firm. So I would obviously pull all this off when we do it, make some foam for it, and colour it the same colour, which we're going to do, just for a comparison there. That's what it's going to look like. So I think I need to find his launcher. I know it's in here somewhere. But where is it? Let's go have a look and see what it fits together with on the rails. So here it is. So here is his tag launcher. And we're going to be doing another video on this because I think he got this second hand. And it needs a new seal kit in there, which we've got one in a tube to fit. But also, as I was looking at it, a lot of the fixings seem to be replaced. That's not the right screw. These two are missing. So it really does need some TLC to get it back up to its full operating use. We're probably not going to get a full purchase on the rail there. So it's only really just going to grip the rail. But with it being short, with a suppressor on, I think that's going to look really cool. So perhaps we need to test, see what the grip strength is with this, with an M-lock rail segment. So I think I should probably find an M-lock rail segment, and then we can test how strongly it fits on there. So I've got one here. Just so happen to have one. We can get a longer one if this isn't long enough. So we could have a rail section on the bottom there. It doesn't look the best, but this would then slide on. Like so. I think we actually have the barrel nut for this rail on there at the moment. So that would go on there. Let's just nip that up so it stays in place. So that would go on there. You tighten these down. And actually it grips pretty well. Obviously ignore the barrel there, and we would have a suppressor on the front. So let me know down in the comments below what you think. Should we keep with that, or should we go with something a bit more robust like the Mark 18 rail? Because this thing, I think these are a bit of, oh no, straight on. So normally these are a bit of a pain to get the launchers on. We'd have to do a bit of a clearance on the rail just on the front here, because it doesn't want to go on all the way. But you know, that's not the end of the world. We could just loosen these screws off, slide it on and put it back on. But it would be nice to be able to fit it without taking the rifle apart. Yeah, I'm kind of unsure in a direction to go now. Obviously what it looked like with the Novrich rail. Perhaps, you know, he could have this fitted on here, you know, indefinitely and just leave it as it is. It would be a lot easier for us because we could just make a little adapter to it, extend the barrel, and then we can just put a suppressor on. We wouldn't have to turn that barrel down. So choices. I think I'll leave it up for discussion. Have a think. Let me know down in the comments below what you think we should do. I'll go back to James and just discuss and see what he wants to do about it. It'll be very easy, in my opinion, to shorten this rifle, put a suppressor on it, and have it as a lightweight sort of sneaky beaky suppressed semi-auto only rifle that you could literally come out of a lake with it and it would still work. I can't guarantee how accurate it'd be with a barrel full of water, but it would work. You could drag it through anything and it would keep going. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. We've been talking long enough. I need to procrastinate a bit more and think about it, but I just thought I'd give you an update on where we are with it. Loads and loads of bits to choose from, but this is where we start putting things together. I've done his in a barrel for him. I've got a Flamingo AEG rubber to fit into, which we're going to be using this rifle to test that rubber. We've been testing one in the Tomahawk. It worked really well. Got another one to put in here. So internally we have everything that we need. It's just externals. Then we'll move on to some engraving and marking this rifle up. Then we'll move on to Cerakoting and doing the final touches and building it back together. So thanks for tuning into this long video. Bit of a rant, bit of a procrastinate, but yeah, we'll get there in the end. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Minotaur build. And from me and Bench, have a good day.